Happy Halloween! Welcome to Great Outdoors Productions. We are in Shipley, Florida at the Seacrest Wolf Preserve. They are having a wonderful Halloween extravaganza today at the Wolf Preserve. So come along with us and see what's going on. You're going to be a wolf, huh? It's looking good.
What's your name?
This is Sweetie.
Sweetie!
Holly, she's 12. Boo and Jasmine, they're 2 years old.
Ah.
You're a Chihuahua and a Papillon.
Oh.
They're all 3 of them are.
They are.
My kids are going to be 7.
Hi, I want you to meet my new friend that I just met at Seacrest Wolf Preserve. And what is your name, please?
Hi, my name's Joe.
How are you feeling today?
Oh, I felt better. Yeah, I've got a
Are you enjoying being at the Wolf Preserve?
Oh, I love it at the Wolf Preserve with the wolves and all the girls. It's great.
I like your hairdo. Who does this for you?
Oh, that just comes naturally.
Well, what do you think the highlight of today is?
Oh, all the chicks.
Sure
I love
been
the
nice
chicks.
talking to you.
Yeah, I love them. Yeah, you too, lady. We'll catch you later, okay?
I have a story that I would love to share with everyone. It's about Kiowa, and Kiowa is here in the pack. He's a very special wolf, and he's an old man now. And the story I wrote about him was inspired to me by Miss Joey, who works here. She told me of something that happened to him one day long ago, and I go, oh, that is a story. So I write how he goes into the spirit world for a short time, and he hears others of his kind running and hunting, and he wants to stay. And then he decided he was thirsty, and he turned around to the brook and reached to get a drink of water, and he goes, that can't be me, surely not, I'm so confused. And then this big bright light came that he couldn't hardly see, and he was blinking and everything, and then all of a sudden he heard this deep, great voice speak, and the light got dimmer, and he looked over, and to his amazement, it was this great white Arctic that he'd never seen in his life, an alpha for sure. And he goes, sir, I don't think I know you. You won't eat me, will you? And he said, no, my son, I am your grandfather, and I have come to tell you it's not time for you to come with us just yet, for you must go back and walk among the two-leggeds and teach them of our ways. So go, my son. And there's more to the story, if you will come to
Oh, what a
camp out.
lovely, lovely story.
And I have a song, a music I'm playing, and actually I have a CD that's in the store called Visions of the Past, and his story is on there. And it has great meaning, because you have to learn to pray from your heart, not just your lips, for it to happen. And that's what he's teaching, and he wakes up and sees his keeper who's helped her. He sees her in a greater way, that she's not just the keeper, she's one that's going to help him and teach others of his ways, because it's so important in their lives.
Lovely, lovely story.
And Kiowa is so precious. When he was out in the tours and stuff, he used to be the alpha, this pack over here. And he got older and lost his alpha position, and of course they do the picky, fighty thing. So to keep him from getting injured, they moved him, and he's with a female who has lost her husband, and Kiowa lost his wife, and they had some children, and they're Denai and Princess Moonstar. and they were so protective of him and so precious, like a family. And so he's over there now, and I went to see him one day, and he don't look the same. He's totally getting white, more like the Arctic.
Oh,
And
how
actually, when I wrote the story and told Cynthia, she said, well, you know his grandfather was an Arctic Indian. I said, no. I said, that's the reason the story is for real, that it was a gifted story. And I have a story I wrote about his wife, Tumani, about when she was growing up here and how they took care of her, how that Cynthia would hold them and feed them in a special way. And it is very unique because I finally caught on how to do it myself. I stayed with her a couple days and helped her with 21 puppies.
Oh my goodness.
And she feeds them so good and healthy. I mean, vitamins. These wolves are top notch, and they take good care of them. And for people to down them and to hurt them, just like they did Chaco, they could have not shot him and killed him. They could have tranquilized him and brought him home.
It was many moons ago.
Hey, what's your name?
Katie.
Hi, Katie, and you are?
Callie.
Callie. Katie and Callie, and you're getting ready to go on the haunted hayride.
Well, it's one of our fun hayrides, but the haunted hayride is like
It's
later.
tonight. So you're just going for a hayride today?
Yes.
Okay, what do you expect to see out there? Do you know?
Just like some of our fields out there.
Okay.
And this is my first time being on a haunted hayride, but I've been volunteering for a couple weeks.
Oh,
Did you
good.
go on a ride already with Wayne?
Last year.
Pardon?
Last year I did.
Last year, yeah, okay. He's probably going.
With tears in her eyes.
Where are you driving? Where are you driving this hayride to? Where are they going to go? Or just wherever you feel like?
Around the property. Go to the graveyard first.
Okay.
Be strong.
All right, guys, well, hopefully all of you will come back.
Yeah, we'll have to count heads here when you see him.
Lost some part of you.
Using strong.
This year I haven't done it. Last year, the night part of it, I lost money. From the headless guy with the
Stretching a
cheese.
high.
Yeah.
Oh.
But that's all right, you signed the waiver.
At sight
Stand up.
away.
Stand up. Stand up, dead flat.
Even though her bundle was too heavy. You see, in her heart, she was determined to make it to the top. Even if the bundle continued to grow, the heavy weight of the load just did not matter.
Okay, well, I have a purchase to make.
A messenger.
Can you tell me something about Seacrest?
Sure, what would you like to know?
What's the best part about Seacrest?
The fact that we are an educational facility and we are trying to help teach everyone that the wolf is not the bad guy and that he is absolutely fantastic and very important to our
So I can
ecosystem.
share the gift of
Okay.
Each and every animal on this planet is.
That is true.
I'm sorry, Mr. L, I'm not ignoring you.
That's all right, she's part of the act.
Well, we can get it one way or another.
Yeah, y'all distracted me. Y'all are good. What else would you like to know?
How long you've worked?
Off and on for about 14 years, I have been a volunteer.
Still volunteer for that job.
No, I am a volunteer.
Still volunteer.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
It's been a lot of time.
Yes, sir. It's well worth it, though, because it's for a good cause and for good people. And I get to meet all kinds of wonderful people, such as you guys and other volunteers. It's just amazing, it really is.
How many volunteers work here?
It ranges. We have everyone from the junior volunteers.
Yeah,
all
we
the
saw
way
a
up
couple
to-
of them on the
Yeah.
hayride.
We have quite a few junior volunteers. We have everybody from FSU students. We have people that have been coming since they were little. We have all kinds of volunteers, young, old,
Wow.
everyone in between.
Okay.
That's excellent.
It
Oh, it's the lady. I know.
Is that the big bad wolf in Grandma's nightgown? Oh, it's your nightgown.
I don't wear green or peach.
Does it take a picture? Of the dog?
Hi, Seacrest Wolf Preserve's goal is to preserve all the wolves in America. And they do this not only in Chipley, Florida, but throughout the United States. And their goal is to teach preservation through education. Hi, we have Wayne here, and he is one of the owners of Seacrest Wolf Preserve. And Wayne, can you tell us, I know you had a terrible tsunami that came through here last year, or was it this year?
This year.
This year. It was this
year.
April of this year. And you have some reconstruction going on, and how is the reconstruction going?
Going great. It's been an ordeal. We had to have an excavator in here for approximately 6 weeks doing earthwork, rebuilding dams. We had probably about 7 to 8 fences to reconstruct that was washed out by the dams giving way. But we've just about completed all of our reconstruction other than hanging a couple of gates and putting the people fence back together.
That's excellent. And how is your plate going for Chaco?
Well, I think they have closed the case on it. Fish and Game has closed the case on it. And we're going to try to put it behind us, go forward. Try to learn from things that have happened in the past.
And hopefully Fish and Game will have learned something too.
Hopefully.
Yes. Okay. That's the best attitude to take.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Excellent.
Crystal.
Okay. Hi, Crystal.
Yes.
Hi.
Yes. Come here.
I want to be on camera.
And this is Diane. Come here.
Hi, Diane.
This is how this worked. Crystal came here with Diane and her daughter, and then they asked us to come. So this is who you need to talk to.
We're a 3-generation volunteer group.
You're a 3-generation volunteer.
That's right. Grandma, daughter, and then the grandchildren.
How awesome.
All volunteer.
Do you live near here?
Fort Walton Beach.
Fort Walton Beach.
That's right.
How often do you volunteer?
I come 2 or 3 days a week.
From Fort Walton.
From Fort Walton.
I'd love you.
And she'd come more. I'm retired, but she would come more. So she's getting her master's degree and working full time. So.
Wow.
Right
So
now.
it's true that if you ever need anything done, you ask the busiest people that you know.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Wow.
Yes.
Every single Saturday she comes and she helps in the pavilion. So when I'm here, so when I'm available, then I go back and forth with her, and they'll all take turns going over there and barbecuing also. So it's Diane's the one that does it a lot, and she comes all the way from Fort Walton Beach. I only come from Angela comes from Alabama. She's the one that laminates all of our concession stand things. She laminates every sign that you see practically. Angela laminates all them, and she either sends them down or she comes from Alabama down here. I come from Crestview. Then you have a lot of people coming from all over. It's mostly Okaloosa County. We have a lot of people from Okaloosa. We've got the college students from Tallahassee. We've got 5 or 6 of them right now that are camping in the back area because they want to help out with our Halloween event. So we have a lot of them coming over there. Miss Rhonda just came from South Carolina. She just came down with her child. She used to be a volunteer, and her husband was active duty military, so he got shipped to Virginia and they got shipped back down. So at least she can come a little bit more often. So that was a wonderful idea. We have Marcia. She comes from Pensacola. So she comes all the way down from Pensacola. I mean, we've got people all over
coming on down. We have some people coming from the midsection of Florida. Savannah comes down and comes on up here, and she comes up here every other Wednesday and Thursday. So she comes down here, and so we have a lot of volunteers from every county that you can find around here, pretty much. We got every county represented around here.
Yeah. That just goes to show what a wonderful activity this is and how great a job you do in promoting the preservation of the wolves. And here with me is Debbie. And Debbie, you live in Miami, Florida.
Yes, I do.
Tell me what you do in real life in Miami.
I am an assistant midwife, and I have a center for pregnancy yoga, and we prepare women and couples for labor and birth and see it through in a normal, natural way.
How wonderful is that? How did you get to Seacrest?
I have had a connection with wolves my whole life. It's a mystic connection. I don't know why, but I was here 3 years ago with my daughter who's in Tallahassee. She said, let's go to Seacrest and check out the wolves. So we came and we did a tour, and I've been here ever since, every year. I love it. I love it. It's such a good cause, and Cynthia and Wayne are amazing, and just being here with everyone is so special.
It is. There's a nice, peaceful air about this property.
Yes,
It
yes.
is. It's really awesome.
Yes, we just need to keep going and keep trying to save wildlife, because there's a lot of forces working against natural wildlife preservation. So what they're doing and what we can do as individuals is very, very important.
I don't think people realize that the human race is as dependent upon wildlife as wildlife is dependent upon us.
I don't think the humans care.
Oh,
I think
it's
we
a
need to
shame.
care more, and we need to understand there is that eco-balance that's necessary,
Mhm.
and do whatever little bit we can to make it better.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Near the tree. We're later in the day now. We'll get to wake these guys up a little better and get them to howl. How we do this is I'm going to count to 3, and when I do this, I need everybody to give me their happiest. I feel so lucky to be here with wolves.
you. Thank you. Oh, cool. Nice. Good shot right there.
He's the little wolf. Do that again? Come on, come
Oh, you're filming him and I'm in the way. So sorry.
Such a pretty baby. Such a pretty baby. Huh? Such a pretty baby. Yep. You're such a pretty baby. Am I upsetting your world? I'm sorry. Ooh. Yeah, I know.
So they really are on a real.
You know what? I'm going to stick that. Can you like put that somewhere over there?
We want you to get to know them. We want you to get.
Hi, I'm sitting here with two of the great volunteers here at Seacrest Wolf Preserve. This is Joy.
Yes, ma'am.
Come on, Joy, tell me something about volunteering here.
It's wonderful to volunteer here. You get to help teach people about the wolves and how important they are to our ecosystems. Our ecosystems are very vital to our health, and without the wolf, our ecosystems will collapse. And with the Yellowstone, before they reintroduce them back into Yellowstone, that is a great aspect to look at.
Okay, and on this side of me I have Jim, and Jim is a volunteer.
I've been here for about 10 years and seen none of this was here. None of these fences. There was only several little enclosures up at the house with maybe a dozen wolves at the most. Now we have like 35, and we have them divided up into packs. We have grays, British Columbians, and Arctic wolves in their own separate pack, 3-acre plus enclosures with water to play in, foliage to hide in. They dig their own dens, and most of them are happy families. We have family problems with wolves that we have to work with constantly, but we move forward to educating the people in the importance, like Joy said, of the wolves in the environment. The lack of wolves has caused the deterioration of places like Yellowstone. Right now, the Green Mountains up in Vermont are falling apart because there are no wolves, and there are 70 white-tailed deer per square mile, eating all the foliage down to the ground. Probably in 50 years it'll look like Ireland. But it's a great experience to be up here, and you get bonded.
Yeah, and come to work with your friends every time you come here, don't you?
They don't talk back.
They're happy for everything that you do for them.
Love it up here.
Wonderful.
Kai was still here. Kai was our oldest one. He's been here, he's 15, going on 16. And I'd like to see him take and produce another litter.
What's the life expectancy of a wolf?
In the wild, 6 or 7 years. In captivity, 11. We've heard of some that are in their 20s up in northern New York. I was at a Pennsylvania Wolf Preserve, Leeds, Pennsylvania, and they said they had some that were 18. But here, I think our oldest wolf died about 3 months ago, Durango. He was the leader of the wolves. He died from just pure stress of the floods we had. And he was 15, and he was a rescue wolf from St. Augustine's Wolf Preserve. He was, I think, he was one of the first wolves here. Yeah, he was one of the first. But it's the hardest thing is losing.
You're welcome.
How long you been here, Joy?
I have been here off and on for about 14 years.
So you've been here since the
Beginning. Yes, ma'am. When I can remember when they were up at the house and we were getting started, Mr. Wayne and Miss Cynthia, bless their hearts, did not have a clue that it was going to get as big as it did and become as important as they have for the fight for the wolf. The wolves are going through a lot of heartache and hardship right now because of the hunting out in Yellowstone, Wyoming, in the Idaho, Montana, all through there. It is just deplorable at what they're doing to the wolves. It turns my stomach to know that these people would much rather kill something that doesn't want anything to do with us. They want us to just leave it alone. And if we did, then they would straighten out the environment. But we're humans.
We always think we know better than we do.
Amen. I had a lady when we went to Montana. We went to the Speak for the Wolf in 2014, and I had a lady, she was from London. She's been over in Montana for 25 years. And she saw my Seacrest shirt when we went in there, and she says, well, you can take our wolves. They're killing machines. We don't want them. They've killed all the elk. And I said, no, ma'am. I said, have you done your research? Do you really know that that's what's happening? I said, I can tell you now that you're wrong. And she looks at me and she says, huh? I said, they are not killing machines. I said, wolves are feast and famine animals. They do not kill every day. And when they do manage to kill, it feeds everything from the microbes in the soil all the way up to the prey birds. And she looked at me like, yeah, she says she couldn't believe that. And she says, well, they're running all the elk off. We used to have thousands of elk in town. And I said, there again, you're wrong. Due to the climate change, they have changed their migratory patterns. And she looked at me again. I said, okay, here's you one way to look at things. And she says, well, I'm native to this area. We're native. They shouldn't be here. They're from Canada. I said, there again, you're wrong. They were here first. I said, look at it this way. And I said, you're planning on retiring soon, right? And she says, yeah. How did you know? I said, just a guess. I said, let me guess, Florida, right? And she said, yeah. How did you know? I said, everybody does it. And I said, I'm native to Florida. I'm indigenous to Florida. So when you cross that Florida state line to come down here to retire, that means you're taking my land, you're taking my property, you're taking my food, and you're taking my money, my resources. So that means I can consider you a vermin. She went, no, we're at the top of the food chain. That's not true. I said, no, ma'am, there again, in my opinion, you're wrong. Because of the fact that we have to have weapons to kill. They do not. All they have is each other and their teeth. And that is it. And she just stood there, she just looked at me, she says, I never thought of it that way. I said, I'm not trying to change your mind, I'm not trying to convince you, and I'm not here to argue. I just want you to look at it from another perspective, from their eyes. And she couldn't believe that. And she says, well, thank you. I appreciate you telling me that.
Even if the buzzer I appreciate you telling everybody that.
Well, it's...
Joy was out there this past year, like she said, to Yellowstone, and saw the results of the wolves' reintroduction. I was out there the year before, and you don't see wolves in Yellowstone. You may hear them. They're off in the distance. But I visited that park and then went on to Seattle and took a cruise to Alaska. And you have a captive audience on the cruise. And I play blackjack, and the guy I'm playing blackjack next to is from Wyoming. And he's an elk hunter. And he saw my wolf shirt. I hate wolves. I said, why do you hate wolves? He says, they make the elk go away. We have to take a really look for elk. I said, well, where do elk live? And they said, in the mountains. I've been there 40 years. And I said, well, how did you hunt elk 40 years ago when you were a little boy? Well, we'd get on horseback and we'd go up to the 10,000 foot level. Yellowstone's at 8,000. We'd go up to 10,000, we'd set base camp, and then we would look around for elk. We'd spot them and pick the elk, shoot them, and mule them back down. Well, now, if you want to go to Chama, New Mexico and go elk hunting, Cabela's book has a folder with all the hunting guys, backpackers they're called. $7,000, and they will take and put you on a horse and put you on an elk, put the elk in the bag, and send you home with your frozen stuff. You got to buy your license, and you got to buy your bullets and stuff. The backpackers, there's 500 of them in Wyoming. What it boiled down to, after this guy finally calmed down and told me how much he hated wolves, and I talked more or less like Joy talked about the environmental thing, I said, so the bottom line is now you have to hunt the elk for these backpack people. You can't just put him on the horse and shoot the elk because he's not on the prairie anymore. The wolves have pushed them back up into the mountains where they belong. And that was part of the preservation part for Yellowstone, was the fact that they came down and they ate everything. The denuded forest mountainsides of berries and bushes ran out the birds and the little varmints, the otters, the beavers. The rivers changed course. And there is a video called The Animal That Changed the Rivers because of their impact. They pushed those back up, and like Joy said, they don't eat. There's reports of one pack of wolves eats 300 elk a year. And if they can't, they get a cow or two in between. They don't eat. They eat maybe one elk every 10 days. If they can get one. It's quite a hunt. But the bottom line is they have to go back to hunting now, and it's making them have to work to make their money. I mean, everybody would like to have, I've seen it in New Mexico where the Mescalero Indians get the oil barons off their airplane at Ruidoso Airport, put them on a horse. There's your whitetail there, there's your mule deer there. They shoot them. Go to the casino. While they're at the casino, their meat gets bagged and frozen on their Learjet and back to Texas they go. So it's a money thing, and they don't want the wolves there because it's cutting into their profits on their hunting.
And that's not really sport.
No, it's not. And this gentleman on the cruise, he finally made it. Said, thinking back, it is a lot different hunting procedure. And there's people that pay to do that. And if you look at the Cabela's website and look. The cheapest hunt you can get through them is a bow and arrow deer hunt out in the West Texas prairie for $2,000.
Big business, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the cheapest one in the book. I should bring the book up and let you guys look at it. Make you cry to see bighorn sheep. Now I asked you if you went to that Feast Beast last, if you knew about it. Are you guys from around here? Okay, we had a beast feast down at the Baptist Church in Panama City last week, and all the people involved in the church, like 25 men, had cookers out behind the church, and we had everything wild, a $5 thing, and Sid Bream was the guest speaker, baseball player from Atlanta Braves, and his thrust was family-orientated, about families and about fathers training their sons to hunt and to not overkill, not overfish, to be discreet, hunt what you're going to eat. And it was, it was around the Christian way of living. But the fact that we had alligator, we had deer sausage, we had everything wild, wild hog. We had real pulled pork where you pulled the pork off the wild hogs by hand. But it's there, but it's abused to the point where, we can't keep running over deer and limiting them that way. They're taken over, and that fellow there is missing from the environment. There are some test cases going on in Tennessee with red wolves, and they're putting them out in private land and letting them see if they can take and do. But a red wolf looks like a big coyote, and they have night coyote hunting in Florida and in Alabama and in Tennessee. It's an environmental issue, and it's as bad, the same thing as red snapper fishing. You don't get fresh red snapper in a restaurant. You're not, because it's not snapper season, so you can't.
Well, thank you, Jim. Really interesting.
We can go on. We're talkers. Go back here, Liberty.
All right, coming up next, stick around. We're going to wait for a few more minutes and we will be going on a haunted hayride. Woo!
Long ago, when the land was pure, the red man lived in harmony with the earth. The air was fresh. The rivers were clean. Buffalo roamed the plains by the hundreds of thousands. Life was simple. And it was good. One day, the others came. They invaded our land, and our lives changed forever. The wisdom of our ancestors was mocked and thrown aside. The noble ways were replaced with death, disease, and moral decay. The balance between man and nature would never be the same. It would never be the same again.
Presidente, analista Pakimai, Bomoistiran, Hobuidagi Jessica Nomistin, Peter President, Hayumar, Foliad, Ibomexicomer, Chimigo Rapiders, Fujashi, Hayumi Minda, Shimana, Hiji, Shibud, Homadis, Agitles, Kashurgit, on Hagen Omer, Rabuidagi, Chizif, Goyagi, Shibud, Homat Nomer, Tikitagi, Badi Gomer, Chimigo Rapiders, Hobuidagi, Yaska, was it Halenskaras, Omanezagin, Hayomit, Holy Tidifania, Fujashi, Okhalagi, Ibomexican, Hobuidagi, and Haramidi, Yadi Gomer, Chimigo Rapiders.